Good afternoon, everyone. God, Halloween is coming up. So's the 5th of November. You know, the whole gunpowder treason plot thing. Of course, you didn't come here to find out about historic dates. No. I wanted to give you a little bit of a little more of a rundown, I guess, on the Just Stop Oil dickheads. The Just Stop Oil terrorists that have been operating in London. The same people who think that it's okay to block the roads, which they're not allowed to do under the Road Traffic Act, and they're not allowed to obstruct a police officer, they're not allowed to obstruct fire trucks or ambulances. But it seems a lot of these cunts don't really care about that, do they? Especially when you consider what they've been doing with regards to their orange paint. Yes, you'll recall I mentioned that they spray painted the front of a car dealership. Well, they also decided to do it to Harrods. They have also decided to do it to a skeptic think tank, the HQ of a think tank that is basically against what Just Stop terrorists are doing. And then you have the fact that they've now recently, as I've seen the article this morning, which I'll link in the description along with all the others, they've also decided to do it to Rolex too. So it begs the question, what are their real motives for their protests in London? What are their real intentions of all their law breaking? Which I will just point out, the leaders of Just Stop Oil are encouraging law breaking, which in and of itself is against the law. You're not actually allowed to encourage people or incite people to commit acts that could commit an offence. But these people have not only committed crimes in regards to the Road Traffic Act, they've also committed criminal damage on the back of spray painting all these stores. I wonder how good they would look in orange. Though I don't think it'll be paint that's needed. It'll be an orange jumpsuit, like the ones in America. I mean, hey ho, you never know. Knowing these guys, they'd probably make a fucking fashion statement out of it. Anyway, these people have no respect for the law. The way I slice it is this. There are going to be people who say, we have the right to protest our views. We have the right to state that we have a problem with climate change. And they're right. Everyone should have the right to freedom of speech. Everyone should have the right to freedom of expression. Everyone should have the right to freedom of protest. However, the line is crossed the moment it involves breaking the law. The moment anyone commits any kind of crime, whether it's a simple blocking of the road, whether it's criminal damage, I don't know what the hell just hit me then. Another stick. Anyway, whether it's criminal damage, whether it's assault or whatever, that is when the line is crossed. And I think these people need a little bit of a lesson in the law because they have no regards for it. But you know what's worse than that? The police's inaction in all this. If we had this problem back in 1990 or 1980 or 1970, the police wouldn't be fucking around like this. We'd have the trash removed from the roads forthwith and maybe even arrests made, and then an example would be made of them. But unfortunately these days, as we all know, the police do prefer their two-tier systems, and more importantly, they love being soft with lefties. We know this because of how soft they are with groups like Antifa, like Lives Matter, and in the meantime, they treat people who are even slightly right-wing leaning with the absolute utmost contempt and usually come along with riot squads. But these guys, they would rather negotiate with these people. They would rather spend their time speaking to these people rather than doing what must be done, and that is get the trash off the road, as I've stated. These people have no regard for other people's safety or other people's well-being or other people's day-to-day commutes. It's just like insular Britain, only even worse. Because at least insular Britain, I don't think they actually resorted to criminal damage. So I will give insular Britain that much. However, this is about Just Stop Oil, and they have been committing criminal damage as well as breaking injunctions and blocking the road. I wonder how quickly they would move if the British public were put in charge of it. I wonder how quickly they would move if there was slurry being put on the road, or if fire trucks came in with water cannons to blow them away. I think a few quick blasts of the hose, I think they would very quickly get the message. And if they want to bitch and complain about, oh, this is brutality, where's our human rights? Did you care about the human rights of the people you're disrupting? And your cause is nothing but a cover. It's nothing other than a facade. Because what the fuck has Rolex watches got to do with oil? I can understand the car dealerships, which don't even use that much oil, to be brutally honest. In fact, we use more oil and all that shit using our mobile phones. But anyway, they would rather go after places like Rolex, places like Harrods, who sell clothes, beauty products, that kind of stuff, rather than worry about the real issues like what China are doing. They would rather focus on one of the countries that has a fairly low level of oil usage and damage to the environment through the ozone layer and what have you, rather than deal with countries who are the biggest culprits of it, who are opening coal plants and all that. But of course, the moment you try to approach any of these guys with logic, they don't want to know. And that's pretty obvious when people go to Twitter and they try to explain this to them, and then they meet something called the block button. I personally don't use Twitter that much, if at all, myself, because I think it's just cancel culture. Even though Elon Musk is now taking over and firing all of the higher up people in it, which is always a good thing, but I'll still be keeping clear of it personally. But yeah, the police, rather than deal with these guys, would rather negotiate with them. And what was that saying that we use for terrorists, which, as said, Just Stop Oil and Insular Britain were, by all accounts, we don't negotiate with terrorists. But the police are. What are we going to do about it? Now, if I was living in London myself, I'd probably want to do my bit and get rid of the trash from the roads. Because what this calls down to at this point is people need to grow a backbone and do the job the establishment and the British police will not do. What people like Suck Dick Khan won't do. And that is, as said, remove the trash. Because that's all these guys are. They're idiots. They're trash. I'd go as far as saying retards. Because they don't even understand that what they're doing is completely hypocritical of the one purpose they set out to achieve. They don't understand that ironically, I have a sneaky suspicion that the paint that they're using is actually oil-based. And they're firing them from fire extinguishers. It's just... sometimes my brain can only handle so much stupid before it suddenly explodes. But this is Insular Britain we're talking about, and of course Just Stop Oil. But then we all know that Extinction Rebellion hasn't exactly got all their screws in place. Hell, we have one muppet, Bob Geldof, who wants to support these people and basically shit talk the white people. And isn't it funny, wasn't Bob Geldof the person who also decided in the EU referendum to start slandering Nigel Farage and make it basically a name-calling exercise? So that should just go to show, if that really is the case, how credible Bob Geldof or Jerkoff is. That's the thing. They don't think. Because if they thought, I think in a fraction of a second they'd realise that what they're doing is completely and utterly against everything they set out to do. Oh, and let's not forget the people who, of course, have decided in Germany now, I believe, to stick themselves to more paintings. I think one person even tried to stick his bald head to one of the paintings in one of the galleries. If I can find that story, I'll also link that in the description below. But then, of course, we also have the two people who decide to throw cans of soup over Van Gogh's Daffodils, that painting. And I ask, will they face charges for criminal damage? Or are we just going to sweep it under the rug? Because that's what it looks like right now. All the people who've been arrested for breaking an injunction, if they were blocking the road, they need to face charges under the Road Traffic Act. If they are responsible for spraying paint across the shop fronts, they need to be charged with criminal damage. Any of the people who were unwilling to move out of the way for the fire trucks, ambulances and the police officers need to be charged with obstruction of justice. And we need to send a harsh message to these people. We need to send a message that says, you will be dealt with harshly if you continue to disrupt the country and cause damage to our country. So I recommend that the individuals get fined if they're the ones that were committing the criminal damage. If anybody died as a result of these people, and I do believe 2 people have died so far and counting, that they should be charged with bare minimum of manslaughter for basically causing a delay that caused these people to get killed. And anybody who has been charged with obstruction of justice should be harshly fined, as should anybody with the criminal damages. I think then they'd get the message. As soon as they start getting hit in the bank balance, and it's funny because they can sit there and say, oh, we don't need the money. But then I bet a lot of these dickheads have some of the most expensive phones, have luxury items in their own homes, have a lot of stuff that basically they really don't want to lose. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not an incredibly rich guy at all. Less than 10 grand. I don't have to disclose that, but I am here. In fact, I don't even have 5. At least on the recording of this video. Again, I don't have to disclose that. I don't have to have anything luxurious. A phone, a computer, a bed to sleep in, and some food, of course, for survival. That's all I need. But these people, they would be lost if they didn't have their phones. I'd get bored pretty fucking quick if I didn't have a computer, but I could find a way to live without. That's the thing. These sad people are ignorant, they're selfish, they are inconsiderate, they are hypocrites, and don't understand what their cause is really doing. They're not aligning people to their cause, just like Insular Britain didn't. They're putting people against them. They are alienating the British public. They are alienating the very people they want to support their cause. And that never ends well. If you alienate the very people you try to get on your side, then basically your cause is lost from the start. This isn't down to people want to come out and say this is fundamentally wrong. This is people that are saying we are bitter, we are filled with hatred and vitriol, and we want to take it out on these stores to vent our frustration. And the British police allow them to do it. Let's face it, the police are complicit in this. And okay, they have made some arrests. And let's face it, it's not because people are starting to make videos calling them out on it. But the police are trying to make it look like they are actually doing something. They're doing jack shit. What about the two people who were hanging up from the Queen Elizabeth II bridge? You know what I think they should have done? They should have fucking left them there. I guarantee you, after a couple of days, they would very quickly want to come down. If not within the hours. Because where are you going to go to the toilet? Have they brought enough food? Have they brought enough drink? And more importantly, being stuck out in the freezing cold for such a long time, you're obviously going to risk getting ill. We didn't need to do anything about them. Nature would have taken its toll on them already. But my message to the British police, or rather London police, is this. If you are too inept, incompetent, or more importantly, do not want to do your job of protect and serve and keep the peace, move aside. Get the British public to do it for you. Because if you won't do anything, we fucking will. And we will not take the kid gloves approach that you do, London police. We will come in and we'll get shit done. Because unlike you, we understand the frustrations of each other. We understand that these guys are a public nuisance. We understand that their actions are tantamount to terrorism, causing major disruption that could cause the country to be affected. We understand all of that. You, the British police, you, London police, clearly don't. Which is why I will keep saying, do your fucking job, or we, the British public, will do it for you. And it won't be a silk glove or a kid glove we use. It'll be an iron glove, grasped fists, or clasped fists. I can't even get the words right now. I'm getting so angry. Anyway, we will use iron gloves, grasped fists. We will pick these fuckers up and move the trash out of the road for you. Like I said, your job is to protect and serve the public and to prevent breaches of the peace. And if there is a breach of the peace or disruption in the country, you're to put it back in working order as quickly as possible. But if you don't want to do that, and you would rather let these terrorists run rampant, then it will be down to the British people to right the wrongs that you are committing and ensure these terrorists are put where they belong once and for all. My name's Dabima, also known as Abathorax, and I'm, as always, very bad news for our crooked two-tier police, and more importantly, the Just Stop Oil dickheads who serve no cause, other than to incite hatred, to incite violence, and to incite the wrath of the British people. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. And most importantly, fuck the government.